Welcome back to the Danni Vee Show. Today, I am really excited to be here talking to you about something that I've been noticing a lot lately, something I am noticing so much in high achieving women in my world right now. And I want to speak to it properly because I don't think we are having the right conversation about confidence, visibility, and self-trust. You've heard me speak about this over and over again if you've been listening to this podcast from the very beginning. I'm talking about the woman who has done the work. She's built the thing. She's achieved the results. She's held responsibility and carried her team, delivered again and again, and still finds herself pausing before she posts, second guessing the offer, overthinking the conversation, and waiting to feel more certain about what she does before she takes the next step. And this is true for women starting new businesses and new roles as well, because they've built the success somewhere else. The self-doubt creeps in. I want to say this with so much love and maybe just a little bit of fire today. Sometimes the issue is not that you do not have enough evidence. Sometimes the issue is that you have become incredibly good at collecting evidence against yourself. So stay with me here. I had this epiphany the other day, and I honestly made me laugh at myself just a little, which is something we really need to do when we're doing this work. I realized that for so long now, I've been looking for evidence of how I do not have the visibility I want. Interesting, huh? How ironic is that? Here I am, the woman who speaks about visibility, presence, identity, leadership, and becoming the version of yourself who can hold the next level. And here I am catching myself out, scanning for proof that I was not visible enough. I was looking for who did not comment, who didn't respond to me, which post didn't really land the way I thought it would, which person did not invite me to something, or which opportunity had not happened yet. That was my focus. The more I looked for it, the more my mind delivered it to me. And I hate that. And I know that my reticular activating system was hard at work. This is most certainly the part that we need to talk about. Your mind is always building a case. It is either building a case for your capacity, your leadership, your visibility, and your next level, or it's building a case for why you should hold back. I know that high achieving women, because I am one of them too, are brilliant at case builders. When we can find a pattern, we can analyze the detail. We can read the room. We can sense when something feels off, and then we can think 10 steps ahead. These skills have made us successful, and when they are turned inward in the wrong direction, they can also become very, very exhausting. You start using your intelligence to argue with your own expansion. KPMG had a study of 750 high-performing executive women, and this found that 75% had experienced imposter syndrome, and 81% believe that they put more pressure on themselves not to fail than men do. And on top of that, 54% agree that the most successful they became, the lonelier it felt at the top. And this is exactly how I feel often. I read that and I thought, yeah, that is exactly the conversation I keep having with the women behind the scenes, women who look incredibly capable from the outside and are still questioning whether they are ready, qualified, visible, or credible, or maybe even just enough. This is not just about feeling confident. Feeling confident is something that you action. You action to be confident. I honestly think that confident has been oversimplified online. People speak about confidence like it is a personality trait, like some women have it and some women need to go and find it wherever that is. I do not experience it that way in my work at all. Confidence is built through evidence and it's built through action. The evidence you choose to pay attention to really matters here. If you keep looking for proof that you are behind, guess what? You're going to find it. If you keep looking for proof that you are unseen, trust you will most definitely find it. And if you keep looking for proof that your voice is not being heard, it's something that you will continue to find until you shift the way that what you're looking for. Now, if you keep looking for the proof that you are already becoming the woman who can lead at this next level, you are going to find it. So let's focus here. Let's make that shift today. Visibility is not only about being seen by other people. Visibility is about being able to see yourself without shrinking the truth of who you are. Let me say that again. Visibility is about being able to see yourself without shrinking the truth of who you are. I really want you to hear that. So many women are waiting for the room to validate them before they fully claim themselves in the room. They are waiting for the client, the audience, the promotion, the invitation, the recognition, or maybe the full calendar, the sold out launch. They're waiting for that perfect feedback. I believe the next level often requires you to move before the outside world has caught up with your own internal knowing. This is where second guessing becomes very, very expensive. If you're waiting for that outside validation, it costs you everything. It costs you your inner knowing. It costs you the pitch, the conversation, or even the room that you want to be in. And most importantly, it costs you the decision you already know you needed to make. There's research around self-promotion that I think is so important here. Christine Exley and Judd Kessler's work through the National Bureau of Economic Research looked at thousands of participants and found that women describe their ability and performance less favorably than equally performing men. This matters because in real life, in business leadership, boardrooms, interviews, sales conversations, and online spaces, people are often making decisions based on how clearly you can communicate your value. I know some women hear that and feel uncomfortable because they do not want to become performative. I truly understand that deeply. I have no desire to become the loudest person in the room for the sake of being loud. This is not leadership to me. That is just noise. We don't want to be just noise. What I'm interested in is the woman who can stand in the truth of her work without diluting it. There's no need to restrict yourself. The woman who can say, this is what I do. This is what I know. This is the transformation I create, and this is why it matters. Now that's powerful, isn't it? No apology attached, no 10-minute explanation, and no softening this sentence until there is nothing left. I think this is where so many women leak their power. They do the work and then they hide the evidence. I know I have been there so many times, and I'm sure you could tell me stories too. They get the result and then they minimize it. They receive the compliment and then deflect it. I think that is such a common trait for high succeeding women. And often when they know the answer, they ask 6 people what they think. I only just did that recently, and I know that I came back to my own knowing. So why go and ask those 6 people? Now, I want to be clear. I am saying this as someone who has had to catch herself doing it too. That is why this episode is not me sitting here preaching from a pedestal. That is not me. This is me being honest about the work to work towards that next level of success. The other day, when I realized I was looking for evidence that I did not have visibility, I had to pause and ask myself, Danni, what evidence are you ignoring? And that question changed the energy immediately. I had evidence everywhere. I had evidence of women reaching out after listening to the podcast, clients having huge identity shifts, rooms I've been invited into, conversations that would not have even happened a few years ago, and results for women I've coached. I even received Coach of the Year 2026 just recently. Moments where I chose to be seen even when it felt uncomfortable. I have stepped into those zones in the last 2 years so much. The evidence is there. I just had to be ready to give it airtime. Are you? I wonder how many women listening are doing the same thing. You have the evidence of your leadership and you keep treating it like luck. You have the evidence of your capability and you keep calling it just what I do. It's just my job. You have the evidence of your influence and you keep waiting for it to look more impressive before you trust it. This is why I speak so much about identity. Your next level does not only require a better strategy, it requires a woman who can hold more visibility without turning every pause into proof that she should retreat. This is the work. I think I said this enough times through today's podcast. A report on executive presence found that senior executives believe executive presence accounts for 26% of what it takes to get the next promotion. The same report speaks about gravitas, communication, and the ability to command a room is part of how leadership potential is perceived. Now, I want to be clear about something. I do not believe women should twist themselves into some old school version of leadership to be taken seriously. So opposite to that. I do believe we need to understand that presence, voice, certainty, and how we hold ourselves in the room affect how people experience our leadership. This is exactly why visibility is not vanity. Visibility is leadership. It is access to rooms you want to enter. Visibility is how the right people know what you stand for, what you can help with, and what you are building and why it truly matters. In Australia, The 2025 Small Business Conditions Survey reported that women owned 28% of small businesses in its sample. And amongst women, small business owners in male-dominated sectors, 39% said they were not seen as credible in their roles. That is a visibility conversation. That is a credibility conversation. And that is a leadership conversation. And for the women listening who are building businesses, leading teams, stepping into rooms, holding families at the same time while growing their brands and making decisions and trying to do it all with integrity, I want you to understand something. You cannot wait until you never second guess yourself again. That day may never, ever arrive. You build self-trust by changing the way you respond when the second guessing shows up. You build self-trust by showing up for yourself. Instead of asking, what if this does not work? Maybe, just maybe you could ask, what evidence do I already have that I can handle the next step? And instead of asking, am I ready? Maybe ask, what would the woman I am becoming do with the information she already has? The last question is one I come back to again and again and again. What would the woman I am becoming do with the information she already has? She would stop asking for permission to start with from the people who are not building what she is building. She would stop making one quiet launch, one lower performing post, or one unanswered message mean something about her entire future. And she would stop confusing discomfort with danger. And for my part, she would stop collecting evidence of invisibility and start collecting evidence of leadership and impact. This is the practical part I want you to take from today. For the next week, I want you to become very aware of the evidence you are collecting. When you post something and immediately check whether it got a like, notice what story you're starting to tell yourself. Notice what story you start building. When you have a sales conversation and someone says they need to think about it, notice whether you make that mean your offer is wrong. When you receive evidence that you are growing, notice whether you dismiss it within 3 seconds. This is the work of embodiment. Your body has to learn that visibility is safe. Your nervous system has to learn that being seen does not mean being exposed. Your identity has to learn that the next level will ask for a fuller version of you, not a more edited version of you. And that is where I want you to bring this back to the women in my world right now. And that is where I want to bring this back to the women in my world right now. I'm noticing so many high achieving women standing at the edge of their next chapter, and I can feel the tension in them. They know they are ready for more, and they are still trying to negotiate with the part of them that wants certainty first. The more women I coach, interview, and sit in rooms with, the more convinced I am that the work is no longer just about doing more. These women are already doing plenty. That's not the answer. The work is about becoming the woman who can trust herself at a level of visibility. The woman who can be seen without performing. The woman who can be recognized without abandoning herself. And the woman who can lead without constantly needing external proof that she is allowed to. So here is the question I want to leave you with today. Where are you looking for evidence that you are invisible? And what evidence have you been ignoring? Always remember, who you become determines what you build. Maybe this is the woman you have become after everything you've had to walk through. Don't dismiss that. Do not rush past that. You are allowed to build a stronger case for yourself. You are allowed to trust the proof that is already there. And you are allowed to stop waiting for the world to make you feel visible before you choose to show up as the woman you already are. This starts when you stop searching for proof that you are unseen, or you finally let yourself see who you have become. Now, if this episode spoke to you, send it to a woman who is sitting on the edge of her next level and needs that reminder that her evidence is already there. And if this is the work you know you are ready for, this is the kind of identity, visibility, and leadership work we do inside the Embody Inner Circle. Doors are open now, but spaces are limited and applications are now open. Remember, who you become determines what you build. See you next time.